The hypocrisy over at Nexus Mods is off the freaking charts. A couple of weeks ago, when we heard this platform had sold, I know a lot of people were hoping things were going to be different, that these new owners were going to reel in these moderators and give them clear and concise guidelines, and we weren't going to see so much censorship, but that definitely isn't the case, as now we are seeing a bunch of new mods being removed from this platform, and of course, gamers being furious. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I, like many other people, was hoping a few weeks ago when we heard this platform was sold that things were going to change. I was truly crossing my fingers that maybe Nexus Mods could get back to their glory days where they weren't banning tons of things, they weren't censoring people, and they were just allowing it to be a hub for gamer freedom. But that clearly isn't what's happening at this point. A couple of weeks ago, actually, I had put out a long thread on X. One of the new owners reached out to me, said I could interview him. I sent over the questions, and it's been radio silent, which of course isn't a good look given he went on social media and made a public post to me saying, oh, he cares about what their customers are actually saying. Clearly, that's not the case. And we are seeing them honestly ramping up the censorship, and now we're seeing a bunch of new costumes removed, and costumes that are, in my opinion, pretty freaking tame. On Nexus Mods, they allow new nude mods, they allow romance mods, they allow sexual mods. These are not a problem in some cases, but in others, that's not allowed. And here we see a absolutely gorgeous outfit, in my opinion, of course, but not in Nexus Mods' opinion. This is a pretty tame one, to be honest, in a time when we have the like cow bikini that's nothing except for like a couple of strings over her nipples and her vagina. You know, this actually looks like a work of art. I love the cow mod as well, by the way. I'm not attacking it. I used it in half my freaking playthrough, but in this case, you know, this is a very clearly high quality, well thought out outfit. It's gorgeous. I love it. But Nexus Mods doesn't agree because what just happened? They removed it. The mod you were looking for was removed by a member of staff, and the curator of this mod has not made a statement as to why. They weren't given a reason why, as far as we are aware at this point in time, but there is nothing with this content that should have gotten it removed. Just like a few weeks ago with the bare legs mod. We saw the Kaya bare legs mod being removed from Nexus Mods, and that wasn't fair either. First of all, we know that this character isn't under 18 because the director said none of the characters in the game are under 18. Second of all, it's not even like she's really a human, even though she's supposed to appear to be. She's really not. And third of all, it's, I would say, the equivalent of like a bikini, right? There are younger people who go out in public and wear bikinis, and that's not a problem. So why can't Kaya just have her legs being bare? I don't know why this is so offensive. I don't know why this is so bothersome. There's absolutely no shot this should have gotten removed. And luckily, it is up on alternative sites such as Ayaka Mods. I highly recommend you go and check it out. The links to these will be down below in the description, but it's just a shame because there was a time where Nexus Mods was the modding hub for gamers. You could go there and you could find any sort of mod you wanted, but over the past couple of years, their mentality has shifted. They've hired more activists. They have hired people who are not worried about freedom for gamers, but instead, oh, well, we'll allow some people freedom if we personally agree with the mod. And I know when the sale was announced a couple of weeks ago, there were a lot of people hoping that they were going to turn things around, but I never really saw that happening, just judging by some of the wording that was used here. Behind the scenes, I've already been stepping back bit by bit over the past few years. The team has taken on more of the weight, and the site's been doing better than ever. What's changing now is simply the formality of it, making sure the right people are in place to guide Nexus Mods into the next era. That includes some structural updates to the company ownership that we aren't shouting about, but I want to be transparent. They're about long-term stability, not changing the values or direction of the platform. So right here, Dark One, the previous owner, had admitted that they were not changing the values or the direction. And honestly, over the past couple of weeks, the censorship's gotten significantly worse. I do think that that also has to do with Stellar Blade. I think that Stellar Blade is a game that they are just heavily monitoring. And while I've been primarily talking about censorship going on with Stellar Blade mods, who knows what else is getting removed off the platform that people aren't even aware of at this point in time. We know they've been bad about everything from outfits to even trigger warnings. Last year, Nexus Mods had removed a mod erasing the Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered trigger warning, which is insane because if I want to download a mod for my game, it doesn't affect your game. And that means you shouldn't be bothered by the content I want to see or don't want to see in my game. I don't like seeing trigger warnings. I think that trigger warnings are stupid. It ruins the suspense of an experience, and it ruins the in some cases, like horror of a specific moment. Because if you say, oh, you're going to see X, Y, and Z, then I go into it expecting X, Y, or Z. I personally don't like spoilers that they mask as trigger warnings, but we've also seen them in the past even quietly reverse course on their male or female mod for the Oblivion remaster. And I know that there was the question being raised that are they actually leaving the culture war behind? I never believed that for a freaking second. I think that they reversed course because they saw just how much backlash they were getting. There were tons of people that were re-uploading it, that were talking about this, and honestly, there were hundreds of thousands of people on social media platforms like YouTube and X absolutely annihilating them for this decision because this was how the original game was. It had male and female, so therefore I should be able to mod it back into the new version of the game. And they did reverse course, which was great, but them reversing course once out of like 100 times of censorship didn't really leave me with like a good taste in my mouth. It didn't give me a lot of hope or a lot of confidence. So yeah, I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this. It is sad to see so many Stellar Blade mods being removed, especially ones like this where they're so high quality, they're so detailed, they're so gorgeous, and they do deserve so much positive attention. A lot of gamers are luckily supporting these modders who are saying, you know, I don't use Nexus mods anymore, and I'm glad that I don't. They're pathetic. Thank you, Ayaka mods. Sexy stuff really isn't allowed on Nexus mods at all anymore. And yeah, it just seems that they're continuing their censorious ways. So I'll be keeping my eye on this. The links to the re-uploads on Ayaka mods will be linked in the description in case you want to download them, like the Kaya Bearleg mod or even this Twilight Violet mod that I think personally looks gorgeous. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.